everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about Amadou. Amadou is processed from a fungus, a bracket fungus. The one that they use most often is called horsehoof fungus or horseshoe fungus. Um, Today I have a piece of hairy, what's this called? Hairy hexagonia. Okay, now I didn't have access to a horsehoof fungus, which I'll show you here. That's this one. Okay, as you can see, it looks like a horsehoof. It's not a true tinder fungus. A tinder fungus is actually called chaga, and that's what this looks like. This grows only in the northern part of the country and in Europe where it's cold. Okay, this will be on a birch tree. I believe it only grows on birch trees, and it will look like a big black burnt mass that's on the tree. That's true tinder fungus. You don't have to do anything to that, and you can use it as tinder. Okay, the difference is with this horseshoe fungus, or what really should be called false tinder fungus, you have to process it to get that Amadou out that I'm talking about. So, like I said, I didn't have access to this. So I happened to be walking in my yard, and I looked down at this stump that I have from a large leaf maple tree, and I found these guys growing. And they were actually growing this way, with this black, fuzzy stuff growing on top of it. And after doing some research, I found out that it's called this Hexagonia hydonos, and it ends up being in the same family. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. Polyporiaceae. It's the same family and same order as this horseshoe fungus. So I said, wow, maybe I could get some Amadou out of this. Now, when I looked up how to process the Amadou, they show you them cutting open this horseshoe fungus, and you could actually see the layer of Amadou inside. Now, for this, I definitely don't see that. Again, this is a very, very small piece compared to those. They pull off these big, giant pieces. But I'm hoping that inside here, this soft, spongy stuff, which they say it feels like a leathery kind of material, corky, leathery material, that they actually use the Amadou to make hats and other things like that. That I'm hoping that I can get some out of this, since, like I said, it is the same order and same family. So I'm going to see what happens. So I'm going to take you over to my stump. Oh, before I do that, the importance of Amadou, right? Our ancestors used it for fire making for thousands and thousands of years. And they actually have proof of that. If you ever heard of the Iceman, Utsi the Iceman, if you haven't, look him up. He was a guy that died like 5,300 years ago. He actually was murdered. And he was found in the Italian Alps, frozen. And they actually thought it was a modern person until they started to get him out. And they realized that he was 5,300 years old. And one of the great things about that discovery was they found tools. They found his clothes. He had something like 61 tattoos on his body. Pretty cool. So one of the things they found was a fire kit. And in that fire kit was Amadou. So it's a very important thing to our ancestors. And just knowing how to make it and to hopefully get some fire out of it, I think will be pretty cool. I never did it before. So I'm taking you along with the journey, on my journey to see if we can get this to work. So I'll bring you over and show you where I got this, and then we'll try to process this up. So here they are on the stump. This is a large leaf maple, and that's what they look like. So I pulled a few of them off, like I showed you before. Then we'll get back over there and I'll do my best to process them up. Okay, we're back. So since I can't do this the way I've seen people do it on, other YouTube channels. I'm gonna have to just wing it. I haven't seen anybody process this particular type of fungus. It doesn't have the same characteristics that the horseshoe fungus does, where they just cut the outside off. So I'm gonna just have to go for it and see what we got. I'm gonna separate these two, and I'm gonna start by getting rid of this fuzzy stuff. Well, it sure looks like it. I think this edge is not going to be good. Let's trim that off. See if we can see some kind of line there. It's very moist. It's been raining here for, seems like, months. Yeah, it sure looks like Amadou, from what I've seen. Yeah, it feels very leather-like. Spongy. Look at that. Feels like a cork. Oh, that peeled right off. Almost like there was two of them growing together. Strange. I think this black part's not going to be good. Let's see if I can get this off. Wow. I think that's it. I think this is Amadou. It's very spongy, flexible. It actually feels like leather. Alright, we'll set that aside. Let's see what this piece has to offer. That's hard. Soft underneath. Excuse the camera shaking, it's attached to the table. That feels very soft too, the whole thing. Let's try to get a slice off of this without slicing my finger. That feels kind of woody. I'm not sure if that's it. We'll try it. We don't know. We're experimenting. Alright, there's a couple pieces. I'm going to cut this one up and a couple other ones I have, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so this is what I ended up with. Let me see, how many did I use? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was 4 or 5 of those very small ones. It sure looks like Amadou. It feels like it. To me, it feels like leather. It's got the same texture. It's pliable. Um, I'm hoping that this is going to end up being Amadou. So the next step, what they say to do is get yourself some water. And they use, everything seems to come from the birch tree because that's where most of these seem to come from, at least the videos that I watched. So they use birch ashes. I don't have birch tree, so I just have regular ashes here from a fire. I'm going to dump some ashes in here. They say about a 50-50 mix. So I'm going to dump that whole bottle in there. Mix that up. And then they say the first process is to let this soak. Oh, then again, I've seen them just boil it, but few of them that it seemed to work very well said to let this soak for about an hour, and then to bring it up to a boil for another hour. And then there's a little bit more processing to be done after that. So there's our Amadou, hopefully our Amadou, soaking in ash and water. So we're going to let that go for about an hour, and then we're going to boil it up for an hour, and I'll be back. All right, it's been an hour. It's been soaking. It's just like a black-gray mess. So I got that on the fire. I also have just a little can full of water that I'm going to keep right here so that that heats up. So as the water evaporates out of there, I'll be able to pour some more very, very hot water in there and not lose my boil. So this is going to take an hour. I'm not going to leave the video on for an hour watching it boil. You know what it's like trying to watch water boil. Alright, so I'll bring you along as the progress moves forward. Alright, we got that at a good boil. So I'm going to mark the hour. I also have a can of water right next to it. So the water will heat up. And woo, look at that. A nice little reaction going on there. Wow, that's pretty cool. So like I said, I have the water there heating up, so as that water evaporates, I could add some more, or if it keeps doing what it's doing, foaming over the top, I'll be losing some water. So I'll add some more in. Like I said, that needs to go for an hour. So I'll bring you along for the progress. We'll tune in a little bit. Alright, little status check. It's been about 45 minutes. It's still doing that bubbling over thing. I add water to it when it gets low. Stir it up a little bit every once in a while. Don't know if that's what it's supposed to be doing, but that's what it's doing. So it's getting a little dark now. Hopefully it has enough light to carry me for the next 20 minutes or so, and then we'll continue on. Alright, it's been just about an hour. We're going to shut this off, and then I'm going to let this cool down, and I'll bring you along for the next part of this process. Alright, we got it out of the water. I rinsed it off. It was really black, so but it is saturated with water, and it's very pliable. It does feel like wet leather. So the next step that they say is you're supposed to beat this. I've seen guys do it on rocks with a rock. I've seen guys do it on rocks with a stick. I've seen guys use a hatchet. I'm going to use this little piece of wood on the vise here with this plastic mallet, and we'll see what happens. And this is supposed to loosen up all the fibers. Definitely flattened it out, made it a little bit bigger. So you don't want to kill it, you just want to kind of pound it down. Okay, that's not acting like the other one. The other two pieces I just did. This was that piece I believe I said was woody, and it's okay. That end is. The other end isn't. Yeah, that kind of cracked up a little bit, but we'll see what happens when it dries. Alright, I'll flatten all of these up and I'll turn you back on when I'm done. Alright, I got it all flattened out. Some of it behaved like I thought it should. It basically flattened and just spread out and remained very pliable. So I'm hoping that like a piece like this is actually the real deal. Then I had other pieces like this that, if you could see, they kind of just broke apart at the ends. So I'm not sure if that's not the correct stuff. Maybe this is not real Amadou. It's almost like, it's weird. It's like an accordion. But I'm going to dry it all. They say, you know, let it dry for a couple days. I've heard some people say you could dry it over, dry it over a fire or something. I'm going to let it go overnight, see what it looks like in the morning, because the pieces that I saw them do were pretty thick. This stuff's pretty thin right here. So I'm going to put a new piece of paper towel down, let them dry overnight, see how they do. If they're not dry by tomorrow morning, I might throw them in the oven about 170 degrees and let them dry out that way. Again, don't know if any of this is going to work, but it's fun trying. So we'll be back. All right, so we're back. This is dried overnight. It was still a little damp this morning, and threw it in the oven at 170 degrees for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, somewhere around there, and it dried it out pretty good. I've never had Amadou in my hand, so I don't know what it's supposed to feel like, but this one piece here is very pliable, and from what they describe, it feels like it. It feels like leather. So we got that piece. This piece also feels the same. A couple of these other little ones feel the same. Then we have these pieces here. They don't feel the same. They're kind of, hopefully that shows up, they kind of broke up and they're a little stiffer. I believe these are the pieces that I said felt woody. And this piece here is pretty pliable. So I guess the only way to really tell is let's do a test. We'll put that there. Now we're going to use Surefire for our first test, right? So we'll take a little piece of this, and it should light up and it should last a while. Well, it lit. Alright, let's place that right there. Let's see how long that burns. It shouldn't go out. It's still smoking. Well, folks, maybe we did it. Maybe we made some Amadou. Let's watch that for a few minutes. Oh yeah. Still burning. Alright, so it passed that test. let's try the next test, which will be with a ferro rod. Now what I've seen them do is fluff it up. Let's use a piece. It's funny how I like this piece and I don't want to ruin it. So I'm going to set that aside. Let's take another piece that feels kind of pliable. What I see them do is fluff it up. Okay, that seems to be doing what it looked like they would do on those with Amadou. Oh yeah, feels like a felt. Oh yeah, look at this one, still going. That'd make a great ember. Alright, let's see what happens with this. Slide these out of the way. Alright. That worked also. Well, 2 for 2. 2 for 2. Set that one aside. Alright, now comes the real test, if you ask me. A flint and steel. Because that's what would have been used, 5,000 years ago. They wouldn't even have had the steel, they would have used pyrite. So basically, 2 pieces of rock. Alright, I don't have a piece of pyrite to test, but we're definitely going to try it with a steel. I have this steel that I made. I have a video on that, the flint and steel use, and a piece of flint here. So let's get another piece of this. Let's get a nice flexible one. That's nice and flexible. And we're gonna fluff up. That'll give it more surface area to catch a spark. Boy, I hope this works. Hopefully you can see that, how that all fluffed up there. What I'm going to do is bend it right there. It's very flexible. Get our flint. Place that right there. Actually going to put that way. The fluff is facing the front. And let's see what we can do. This is still going. It burns for a while. And these are very thin pieces. Alright, let's see. This was the hardest way I've seen it get ignited. There's some guys that they couldn't get it to go, but let's see. No way. Wow. That worked. And boy, that wasn't even a lot of strikes. I didn't count them, but I think, what was it, 3 or 4? Alright folks, I'm going to say that this is Amadou. This experiment totally worked. Totally made it. Wow. I'm very, very happy about that. I'll tell you, this piece here, I'm going to save this, put it in my little fire kit. This piece here too, nice and flexible. Got a lot of it to play with. Well, there you go. That's how I do stuff. Thanks for coming along on this little experiment. If you enjoy these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Have a great day, everyone. Los Angeles.